talk about ongoing support so you guys know where to go, how to go, etc. This first reading is from the Writing Revolution. Has anyone read this one before or familiar with it? It is a cross-content writing resource, and I pulled pages from kind of across the text. They do a really good job of defining the difference between sentence, paragraph, and essay writing, and like where to prioritize time. And then the remainder of the reading is about the foundations and building the principles of writing, and it's very useful both for this class and for other classes, especially if the idea of kind of teaching writing as a content is a little intimidating. The second reading is, am I going too fast? Is it okay? Okay, the second reading is chapter 4 of a book called, this is Writing Revolution. I also think you can ask your coaches to just buy you this book. There also are probably copies of this book in your building. The second book is a book called Mechanically Inclined. You can see that it has lived in my backpack with copy spills for like 3 years. It is awesome. If you're feeling nervous about grammar, conventions, all the rules, this book not only like reminds you how to do it, but uses mentor sentences to teach you how to do that. So the next 2 chapters are chapter 2, how to use a mentor text, like one powerful sentence to show a kid a grammar rule rather than just teaching the rule as like a principle. And then the 4th chapter is Off the Wall, grammar and mechanical instruction, and this is about making rules really visible by using their wall space. And I think there's a lot of cross-content value for like how your classroom is like a core instructor in your room. So those are the 3 texts that we have selected over the next couple of days. What Amanda and I initially planned was for today to be like broad picture. What is writing instruction? What's that gonna look like in my room by the end of the year? And then like, what is the arc of the year? What does quarter 1, 2, 3, 4 look like? And what are kind of the focuses? And then tomorrow, we had some ideas about teaching writing in an AI world, getting a little bit more granular with chapter 2 of Mechanically Inclined, and then modeling a lesson. This is basically, the model that we put together is things that you'll actually do over the course of 4 or 5 lessons, but I think it's helpful to see. I don't think that modeling, I think modeling when you're in a new content area can be useful to be like, what does this look like, sound like, and feel like, and how do I keep the pacing really aggressive so that kids are engaged. And then we'll spend time kind of breaking down unit 1, quarter 1, and like what daily lesson plans look like. Are we in the space where like, actually like, I feel like doing readings in this space would be valuable and useful, or people like, I would like to do readings on my own time? Where are we at? What are people feeling?
Just a question about the scheduling, because coming out of like our social studies content, we have deliverables that we were expected to do like during our work time.
Yeah.
So how does this work with us, like, you know?
I would say, given that, is that feeling like true for everybody else too? Yep. Given that, then I think what we should do is, I think you should take these readings for your own time. I think it would be valuable to read before you start the school year. And I think for today, it makes sense for us to talk, thank you guys for just being like candid and keeping it real. I think it makes sense for us to talk about our ongoing support for the year, what you can expect from Amanda and me, what we're committing to, and then talk through the arc of the year. And then tomorrow we'll jump in by modeling and thinking through daily plans. Does that feel okay? Elliot.
I think would it be helpful for other people if you modeled like, not like starting by here's slide 1 of the lesson, but like here's modeling, like planning and putting together a lesson using the resources that you guys provided. Like here's my slides, here's my worksheet, here's my this, and showing how like it all fits together. Like as
is that
as part of
is what Elliot said feeling good?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. Let's do this. Let's do ongoing support, and let's do arc of the year. And then if we're feeling like we have time today, we'll do that, and if not, we'll start with that tomorrow. Is that feeling good? Okay. I'm just really hopeful that, like, even though today and tomorrow are only in schedule in-person times over the year, and so I'm still hopeful that we can like really feel like a good team. Do you guys have your writing enrichment ongoing support page? We're gonna just talk through this. So if you are a 6th grade teacher, Amanda Vardis is your go-to lady. If you are an 8th grade teacher, I am your go-to person. And if you are a 7th grade teacher at Montview, AST, or CV, Amanda is your person. And if you're a 7th grade person at CG, Elevate, or Cole, I'm your go-to person. Raise your hand if Amanda's your go-to person. Raise your hand if I'm your go-to person. Yeah. We have created Teams chats for everybody. When your kid writes a dynamite sentence, copy and paste it in the chat. If you make a poster that you're really proud of, take a photo, put it in the chat. Like, we want to see what you're doing. We want to share. We want it to be a space of celebration. We also want it to be a place of questions, and know that like we are also teaching. So please allow 24 hours. Let's keep tone like really respectful, curious, and presuming best intent. We're all a team. And then sometimes people have a frustration and they express the frustration but not the question or the need. And so if you can do your best to keep your message grounded in a celebration, a question, an idea, or a concern, so it's like really clear like how you want people to engage, that would be very helpful. Are you good with this first section? Okay. My hope is that by the end of today and tomorrow, you have a very strong sense of the arc of Q1. You're like, I understand the pacing, the goals. We do not have in-person time or virtual time together the remainder of the year. And so, the solution that Amanda and I are presenting is that we will publish a newsletter that includes a video in which we will talk through, okay, this is the summative assessment. These are the skills that we're teaching. This is how I would think through that. And we'll do that for Q2, and that should come out September 22nd with like about a month of runway for you to like have time to internalize. On October 15th, that's right after ANET 1. If I say ANET, does everyone know what that means?
Benchmark 1.
ANET is our benchmark assessments that we use internally, and CMAS is our state testing that happens in May. And so there's 4 quarters and 4 benchmark exams. So after ANET, we'll just have a couple, there's like a lot of information, and we'll have 1 to 3 pro tips about the things that you should actually be paying attention to in your data, and like what it might mean for your class. December 1st, we'll have an overview for Q3. Q3 starts in January, but we want you to have an image of that. And we'll also have pro tips for ANET 2 data. In February lands in the middle of Q3, and so we'll do an overview for our CMAS crescendo plan and pro tips for ANET 3, and then April 6th, we'll do our overview for Q4, which is argumentative writing. Questions, comments about kind of this structure? And then like you guys will let us know if like you're getting what you need from these newsletters or if it's not working. We also have hopes of hosting virtual opt-in office hours once a month. Excuse me. And so August 26th, September 16th, and October 7th, we each have 3 time slots planned. If you are not available during one of those slots, there's a survey at the end of today, and we'd like you to say like, none of the office hours work for me, and I'm okay with that, or none of the office hours work for me, and that's making me worried. And then we'll check in at the end of Q1 to see like, is office hours a structure that's helpful to us? We want to continue this and put additional times on the calendar. Thoughts about office hours? Okay. Okay. Are we feeling okay about learning supports for the year. Let's see. These are the links that we put in our emails, and I just kind of want to click through them so you know what we're looking at. This first folder is our TLI folder where every document back here is and our slides are. This is our writing enrichment folder for the year. So we have TLI, writing enrichment resources, protocol bank. So like if you're gonna do a jigsaw, how do you do a jigsaw? If you're going to do a give one, get one, what is that? And where do you find this? Revision folders, we'll use this folder for when you have students revise their work, it's a structure we'll use. Newsletter templates, and then this is for by grade level. So in the 8th grade folder, we have all of the units tagged. Amanda and I are committed to staying 2 weeks ahead in all daily materials. But because it's our first year through, we can't stay more ahead than that necessarily. But we just want you to know that that's our commitment for like daily materials. So if you were to say open up unit 0, you would have like the materials that go with rituals and routines. Okay, is it helpful for me to click through links?
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna open up daily materials together tomorrow. Yeah, go for it, Elliot.
I don't know if this is the time to use question.
Yeah.
I'll ask it later.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, it's Justin.
Yes.
Justin.
I'm just trying to find the share drive for all this stuff.
Did you get an email from Amanda and me?
I did get an email.
Okay, great, it's
It's in
there.
there.
Okay. I should probably need to talk to someone at the home office about getting just a page on the website on the Helix too. Maybe they wrote this note for us. Okay. You guys are doing great, thank you very much. Do you guys need a couple minutes to click through things, or is it okay if I shift? I'm going to shift. Okay. I want to talk through the arc of the year. So we embed classroom structures in materials. If they work for you, keep them. If they don't sound like you, if the classroom structures aren't working for you, change them to what you do in your room for your other classes. That's fine. The scope and so I don't know if anybody's experiencing the tension of Wednesday being a short day. And so we will never ask you to turn a short lesson into a long lesson and a long lesson into a short lesson. So the scope and sequence of the year is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We treat Wednesdays as a different scope and sequence because we don't want you to have to turn a Wednesday lesson into a Thursday lesson and pick up an extra 20 or 30 minutes. The next thing you need to know is writing enrichment is we follow, the course as it is written follows the scope and sequence of the ELA curriculum. And we are also grounded in short stories and articles. Students will do all of their reading and their planning and their writing in class during class. Homework is not part of this course. Yes?
Clarifying question, you say it's meant to mirror the scope and sequence of ELA. So does that mean with quarter 1, you said it's narrative writing, ELA will be doing narrative writing as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Homework is not part of this course. And then you're welcome to use different articles and passages if you wish. If you find excellent text, please let us know because, you're raising your hand?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
finish.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're welcome to, please share them with us. We only know the text that we know. And like, you might be like, this is a real banger of a short story and we need to teach it. So let us know. Yeah. What's up?
My question was with the no homework.
Yeah.
So is reading for this course the same structure as other classes where they need like 12 PMPs, 6 formatives, 2 summatives?
I think you need to talk to your coaches and your admin because of the AB structure for what the expectations are. Because you do not see your students about 60% as much as a Monday through Friday course.
Got it.
And I think you can advocate for what you want to do.
Okay.
And I think you should say, I propose this.
Okay.
And then get it in writing.
Is
like as a note, because of the grading load of writing and the fact that we are student facing like pretty significantly for less time than other teachers, it has always kind of been a green light to be like, if you come with a proposal in mind of like, this feels like a much more realistic expectation, I've never had issues with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, like I think our school was talking about like, oh, if you find a different like reading, even if it's like fiction versus nonfiction, like as long as it fits the skills that's being practiced, like you might be okay.
Yeah, I would say that, and also if it's like, if you're taking on a brand new curriculum and a secondary curriculum, I might give this one a go before modifying, or like feel my year to know like, okay, I actually have capacity to make changes right now.
Yeah.
Because, I don't want anyone to get in too deep. Okay, the arc of the year. You wanna talk through the arc of the year?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Cool. So, as Anne already sort of said, our quarters are going to sort of mirror the ELA curriculum, with summatives being grounded as sort of like a practice run for ANET exams. Again, ANETs are those benchmark tests that we're taking once a quarter at the end of each quarter. So for quarter one, we are going to start with a foundation setting, unit 0, foundations of writing. What is a sentence? What do they look like? What do they feel like? How do we combine sentences? How do we punctuate sentences? And then we go into narrative writing. Again, we're going to be working with fictional texts here and learning how to write from different perspectives or point of views. For quarter 2, that's around the mid-October to winter break stretch, we will be jumping into literary analysis, which is really our compare and contrast unit. So comparing and contrasting how an author might describe something, comparing and contrasting how different characters might feel about a specific subject. This is comparing and contrasting themes, right? It's really just diving into that compare and contrast structure. In quarter 3, we have 2 units in quarter 3. So when we get back from winter break in January, we start informational writing. So this is an analysis of fiction and nonfiction texts for how an author conveys or demonstrates a message, and using both sides of an argument to get a point across. So that's from like January to February. We'll go dive into that informational writing. In March, it is our CMAS crescendo, which is really just where we start gearing our lessons to prepare students for CMAS, which is the big state-sanctioned test that we take in
Mid-April.
Yeah. So this is going to be largely individualized to your classroom. So like you are going to know by this point in the year, hopefully, what are some content areas or what are some writing points where students were really like kind of struggling, right? Like we're gonna analyze mass grade checks, summatives, formatives, things like that. And you're really gonna drive your instruction towards growth areas. Identifying prompts for keywords, right? Because on CMAS, it's very easy to know what your ANET essay is going to be, right? Because like we've been learning about narrative writing, so at the end of this unit, we are going to take an ANET on narrative writing and so forth. On CMAS, you don't get that, so kids really need to know how to analyze a prompt and respond to it correctly. And this is really just more like, it should have urgency, because everything should have urgency, but like it's really more like fun and interactive and playful. It's a great time for like group work and things like that. For the first half, so that's March and the first half of April. And then to end the year, we go into argumentative writing, which is kids love. And it's preparing an argument, identifying claims, and really driving to persuade your reader about one side of a given argument, as opposed to conveying both sides of an argument in informational. One of the biggest goals for writing is that we are driving towards student independence. Their ability to plan and write and revise. Like after the beginning of each unit and the beginning of the year is going to be a lot of hand-holding and modeling and things like that. At a certain point in the year, you should be able to give a student a prompt and an article and say go, and they should feel confident enough to write you a response for the entire time. And that's really what we are driving towards with these practices. So over the course of each unit, there will be sort of a gradual release of practice, modeling, guided practice, and then a lot of show call feedback, which is one of the most powerful things that you're gonna implement in your writing enrichment courses, and which again are outlined in the resources and is something that Anne and I will model for you as well.
Do you feel comfortable with the phrase show call?
Yeah, is anyone familiar with that? Yeah.
It's when you demonstrate their work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Using student work as an exemplar model is extremely powerful, and it creates like a really great feeling of community within your classroom at the same time. And so, again, our goal in everything that we're doing and in the way that we've composed these lessons is that by a certain point in your unit, by a certain point in the year, students are able to go through the entire writing process and feel really confident and grounded in that work.
I wanna kind of say a couple like nuanced things that are happening and how this narrative and this lit analysis connect. Ultimately, at the end of lit analysis, we'll have 2 new passages that students will read, internalize, annotate, and write their final essay on. However, in Unit 1, they'll also work with 2 different texts. We're gonna kick off quarter 2 by using those texts that they already know a lot about to like teach them how to write a really good essay. And so, because they already know the texts really well, they can spend their time thinking about the writing rather than having to do everything at once. Julia saw a reaction.
Yeah, no, I was just, so the expectation also is, make sure that we are reading the novels that our students are reading as well.
They're gonna be short stories,
Okay.
and I just want you to know, like, if you
I mean, I don't mind, I like reading.
if you like choose to pivot from those, that's okay. Just know that you might have a like you'll just have to come up with another solution later. I just don't want you to make a choice and be like, oh, I didn't realize how that connected later. I also think like for science and social studies people, quarter 3 is like when it really gets fun and groovy. We're looking at informational texts in really interesting ways, like types of evidence, text structures. And so lit analysis might be a little like spooky or kind of feel disconnected from your regular day-to-day. And I think lit analysis does 3 things that benefits us the rest of the year. It's where we establish organizational structure for an essay. How does your thesis drive your essay? Has anyone ever seen a student write the phrase, in the text it says, and then a quote? It's where we get rid of that by teaching them specific strategies for how to introduce their text evidence with substantial background information. And then, has anybody ever read a student essay where after the text evidence, they merely restate the claim or summarize the quote?
This shows.
This shows what I just said. You have it already. This is where we, that's funny, Ellie. It's where we teach them analysis strategies. So they have to pick a strategy to use to break down the evidence in the quote before they connect it to the claim. And those 3 things, they're gonna use the rest of the year. And so it's just doing a lot of work for you and for that thinking.
Yeah, the essay structure that we learned here literally carries for the rest of the year.
So essentially, it's an opportunity to norm expectations for writing across the board.
I'm like really kind of drooling over this whole idea of science and social studies teachers being in here, because I'm like, I think it's just gonna do this horizontal alignment and vertical alignment for writing in a way that we would really benefit from.
I will say as the 6th grade writing teacher at Cedar, it has been a huge priority, and I've been sort of a nuisance about feeling very strongly that there is absolutely no reason why the writing structure should sound and feel and look different between writing and social studies and science and reading class. It's the same jam. And I collaborated really, really closely with my science and social studies. We were using the same outlines, we were using the same language a lot of the time, and it did wonders for the growth of all students across the board.
I also think we're gonna live predominantly in the world of the 4-paragraph essay. What?
Can we do 5?
Yeah, can we,
You-
please?
You can do 5.
You can.
I would say you don't get that much more bang for your buck in terms of analysis, skills, strategies. So often have kids use 3 reasons in 4 paragraphs. Yeah, go for it.
I know 5-paragraph essay, I don't know 4-paragraph essay.
It's the same thing, just remove the
It's
body
like you have
paragraph.
2 reasons in your thesis instead
Okay,
of 3
just
reasons in
remove
your
the
thesis.
body.
So you have your intro,
I was
2
like,
body
I
paragraphs,
don't
and a conclusion. Yeah. Okay, questions, comments, concerns about arc of the year? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, why do we prefer 4 over 5?
Great question.
Personally, I prefer 4 over 5 for 2 reasons. One, I think the benefit of an essay versus a paragraph is being able to extend an argument across multiple paragraphs. That is like the main yes, no. Beyond that, I kind of think you're mostly in the world of writing for more rather than writing for better. And you can give better feedback, and you also, I find that you have to dedicate an entire extra day in the calendar to writing as soon as you go from 4 to 5 paragraphs.
Yeah, I think so.
In this part of the year, I start to like give kids choices to like think about what would it look like to do 5 instead of 4. And so they think about like, how is the argument that I'm making connecting to the structure of my essay? And the argument dictates the structure. So I think like, I just think in terms of like efficiency of your course, you get a lot, I think you basically get 90% of what you get with a 5-paragraph essay with a lot less time.
I also found, because I started out doing 5 paragraphs, and when I switched to the 4, the 2 body paragraphs, you have like the 2 reasons that support, right? And then they're coming up with 2 pieces of evidence to support each, so it's not like a shorter essay by any means, it's just more consolidated. And I always found that the 3rd reason that kids came up with was like a stretch, it wasn't really great, it was kinda like, oh, you would've been just better off attaching this to your other reason anyway, especially because our readings are short given time constraints, and so it's kind of like it's not actually less, it's just like a more streamlined way to do it.
Also,
And
sorry.
don't be sold to the whole, there are kids, that like can do 5, like, don't think like, oh, my kids, I'm gonna push them for, like, some kids can't do 5 and push those kids to do 5, but like, a lot of kids are gonna benefit out of writing 4-paragraph essays.
Also, you
And
can
like
get
I
a
said,
5
it's
on
not
the,
less.
you can
It's
get a
not short.
5 on the AP exam with a 4-paragraph essay.
Can.
And so, I don't know, if they say that's okay, I kind of feel like it's okay. I want to talk about summative, you guys are great. Thank you for engaging so authentically, I really appreciate it. Okay, we're gonna talk about summative units, and then I think we'll probably pause on Elliot's action item until tomorrow. Okay, so every summative is set up like this. We have passages with prompts and annotation questions. If students are reading and not annotating, you do not know if they are reading, and you do not know if they have misconceptions. Annotations are the best way to like really make writing purposeful in your class, or reading and writing purposeful in your class right away. There will be a writing response document with a teacher-facing rubric, and that's where students will type their essay in class, and there's a bunch of resources. I'll talk through these in a moment. Students will also have student essay planning materials. They will plan on paper with their outlines and their rubrics and their editor checklists. They will also, as of right now, we have color-coded exemplar essays for every single prompt. So you can see what we kind of think of as like a strong response. I actually still think writing your own exemplar can be a valuable experience.
The door's locked on there.
It is locked.
Welcome. Okay, then I want to click through things. Okay, all right, I want to click through. Can you guys get yourselves to the assessment hub that we linked, and then just give me like a thumbs up when you're there. third grade. They say like standards don't matter until you see what the question and the exemplar looks like. Also, I feel like I never know what something's talking about until I see an example, so we hope that this is feeling like concrete examples for folks. The first column, column B, is sample CMAS tests. So if you're like, I kind of want to see what this just looks like, they're really helpful. Then it's kind of separated by quarter. So in quarter one, we have what the DSST narrative rubric is, and then the ANET 1 assessment. So you can open it up, scroll to like the written response to see like, okay, what is this talking about? And then this first one is like the prompt and passage. The planning materials, I wouldn't spend that much time with the planning materials right now. And then the exemplar. And the exemplar, I actually don't think the narrative is a little weird because we don't have like an annotate, like a color coding structure. But if you were to look at, say, quarter 2 exemplar, it is, we have the prompt, and then we have sentence patterns that kids use. If anyone, has anyone heard the phrase constructing meaning or CM? Constructing meaning is a professional development that DSST has invested in over the past, I think like 5-6 years. That's grounded in supporting English language learners. And one of the things, before constructing meaning, I always just did like one sentence pattern for like I did like a sentence starter for a question. And this is actually saying, actually, there's a lot of different ways to answer a compare and contrast, and kids need to know the variety of the language. And so the sentence patterns do 2 things. One, it gives kids options. So like in 7th grade, they have a bunch of analysis strategies. And then the second thing it does is we color code it. So I know where a kid is in their essay based on the color coding. I'm like, okay, I know that they still need to add a second piece of evidence because they only have one gray thing in their paragraph. And it really is a very good metacognitive step for kids. If you happen to have a colorblind kid, you'll just work with them to come up with your own structure for what works with them.
It also makes grading super
It makes grading
easy.
so easy. It makes it so easy. So what I would say would be a valuable use of time for people is to look, I would say just look through the prompt and passage, and then I actually think you only need to read the quarter 1 exemplar for right now, and just like save your energy for quarter 2, but maybe look at all of the prompts and passages at a high level so you have a sense of like the arc of the year. We really tried to align pretty well to ANET, so like 7th grade, ANET has kind of a fably magical realism fantasy element, so we tried to pick a text that has some of that too. 8th grade is pulled from a passage from Maya Angelou's I Know Where the Cage Birds thing. Elliot, you'll know this one, graduation day. And it has a lot of interiority and character development, and that aligns pretty closely with the ANET passage. So my thought is, like, people are welcome to chill here and do deliverable stuff. People are also welcome to scram if that's helpful. I'm gonna send out a survey because I am interested in knowing. I know people have been really, I think people have been really candid. It's felt good in here. But also people have individual circumstances, and the survey is very helpful for making sure that we actually know where you all are at, and making sure we do tomorrow well. Okay. I'm just putting in the Teams chats. Also, Amanda and I are staying here until 4, and so if you also want to just like talk one-on-one, we're happy to like kind of use this as office hour time. Oh wait, I posted this nice. And if you need